In the heart of Makati, the bustling financial center of the Philippines, life moves at a relentless pace. It's a city of ambition, a magnet for expatriates seeking their fortune. But in a place that never truly sleeps, some secrets are kept in the darkest corners, hidden behind gleaming facades and within the walls of its towering condominiums. On May 21st, 2018, the ordinary rhythm of the city was shattered. An anonymous tip led authorities to a residential building where they would uncover a secret so dark, so horrifying, it would send shockwaves through the entire community. The truth wasn't whispered in hallways. It was discovered packed with chilling precision inside a large, unassuming suitcase, an object meant for travel, now a vessel for a story brought to a brutal premature end. This is the story of Wang Yale. At 26, she was more than a name on a police report. She was a daughter and an ambitious professional from China, working in the city's booming online gaming industry. Her life, full of promise, was cut short and cruelly concealed. Who would do such a thing? What kind of monster could commit an act so heinous? Was this a crime of passion, or was it connected to her work? The questions swirled, each one painting a grimmer picture for investigators. For the tight-knit expatriate community, the suitcase became a terrifying symbol of vulnerability, a stark reminder that the promise of a new life could be violently extinguished. Tonight, we piece together the fragments of Wang Yale's life and the horrifying details of her death. We'll follow the forensic trail from that silent unit, analyze the grainy CCTV footage that captured the faces last seen with her, and delve into the digital breadcrumbs she left behind. Join us as we uncover the suitcase of secrets she left behind. Before her name became a chilling headline, a symbol of a tragedy that crossed borders, Wang Yale was simply a daughter, a cherished friend, a young woman whose future seemed as bright and limitless as the open sky. She was born and raised in Anhui, a province known for its serene landscapes and deep-rooted history. This tranquil environment shaped her quiet, thoughtful nature. She was a diligent student, excelling in her studies, driven by a desire to see the world beyond the familiar hills of her home. Her family, proud of their ambitious daughter, supported her dreams. They celebrated her successes and could never have foreseen the devastating tragedy that lay in wait, thousands of miles from home. At 26, armed with her degree and a quiet determination, she sought opportunity abroad. The Philippines, with its booming online gaming sector, beckoned. It promised not just a job, but a new life, an adventure in a culture vastly different from her own. She found her place in the fast-paced online gaming industry, working as a skilled IT professional. Colleagues remember her as focused and capable, a problem solver who was quickly making a name for herself in a competitive field. Her social circle was a tight-knit expatriate community, others like her who had moved to Manila for work. She lived in a modern condominium in Makati, the city's bustling financial heart. From the outside, it was the picture of success, a young professional thriving in a global city. Her days fell into a rhythm, long hours at the office, evenings with friends, and precious moments video calling her family. These calls were a lifeline, reassuring them that she was safe and happy. These mundane details of a life being lived, a favorite book, the last text message sent, would soon be scrutinized, transformed into precious, heartbreaking clues. It is vital to remember the life lived, the person behind the headlines, not just a name in a cold case file. She was a professional building a career, an expatriate navigating a new culture, a young woman finding her way in the world with courage and hope. She was writing her own story, one chapter at a time. Her story did not begin inside that gray suitcase. It was brutally ended there. The journey of a young woman from Anhui, filled with aspirations and the simple dream of building a career, was cut short. She was someone's daughter, a world away from the safety of home, until the unthinkable happened, and the final unwritten chapters of her life were stolen forever. The date was May 21st, 2018. An ordinary Monday in the bustling heart of Makati. The location: the Lerado Residence Tower 1 on Malugay Street, a modern high-rise popular with expatriates. On the 11th floor, a housekeeper on routine rounds noticed something out of place: a large gray and black suitcase abandoned in the hallway. Initially assuming a resident had forgotten it, she drew closer, only to be hit by a foul, unmistakable odor of decomposition. The smell signaled something was terribly wrong. Alarmed, she immediately notified building security. The responding guard recognized the gravity of the situation. Following protocol, they did not open it and alerted the authorities. Makati City Police soon arrived, taking over a scene already thick with a palpable sense of dread. With residents kept at a distance, investigators carefully approached. When the suitcase was unzipped, even seasoned officers were shocked. Inside, wrapped in sheets, was a dismembered body. The brutality of the crime was immediately apparent. Tucked away with the remains were documents that gave the victim a name: Wang Yale, a 26-year-old Chinese national. The entire floor was quickly cordoned off as the scene of the crime operatives, or SOCO, began their meticulous work. They collected fingerprints, fibers, and DNA. The suitcase itself was now key evidence, holding clues to its dark journey. Questions mounted. Where was it purchased? Who was Wang Yale? And who left it to be found? This hallway discovery marked the start of a complex, deeply disturbing investigation into a life cut tragically short. Investigators sought where the killing took place. A trail of blood led from the suitcase directly to Unit 1116, her residence. Inside, their fears were confirmed. Blood on walls and floors, smeared across furniture. The bathroom appeared to be the epicenter of dismemberment. Police found several knives, believed to be used in the killing and dismemberment. Every item was collected for analysis. Autopsy. Multiple stab wounds caused death. Dismemberment occurred post-mortem. Dismemberment was to conceal and transport the body. A clear timeline began to emerge. Attention turned to who was with her last. The hunt for her killer had begun in earnest. The unit told a stomach-churning story of final moments and the struggle to move a heavy suitcase into the hall. CCTV became crucial to the case. On the night of May 20th, Yale was not alone. Seen entering her unit, Person 1, Person 2, Person 3, Person 4. They were identified as Zhang Chuning, Zhang Chaoyang, Wang Shui, and Zhang Yixi. CCTV showed them entering with her and leaving without her. 3 men were filmed struggling with a large suitcase, dragging it into the hallway. All 4 were colleagues or acquaintances in online gaming. Motive could be work-related or personal. A manhunt was launched. Immigration issued a lookout bulletin. Photos circulated nationwide and abroad. Why would they commit such brutality against someone they knew? With suspects identified, theories emerged, grounded in evidence and context. Investigators weighed her life's details carefully. The prominent theory: a financial dispute. All worked in an industry tied to large cash flows. It was speculated the murder was about money, perhaps money owed. Rage or betrayal over funds can turn deadly. Another theory: a crime of passion. The presence of Zhang Yixi raised love triangle questions. Arguments, fueled by alcohol or other factors, can spiral. A frantic, brutal cover-up could follow. A third theory: links to organized crime. Illegal activities, money laundering, loan sharking, drew scrutiny. Investigators focused on personal and financial angles. Facts: she was stabbed. Dismemberment after death. CCTV shows who was there. But motive, the heart of the crime, remains the missing piece. Only her alleged killers can answer why. To grasp the tragedy, look beyond tapes and reports. Remember Wang Yale's life. Acquaintances described her as quiet and gentle, not prone to conflict. Moving abroad takes courage and ambition. She built an independent life and IT career. Among many Chinese nationals in the same industry, a close-knit expat bubble formed. Within that community, threat emerged. Colleagues and housemates became prime suspects. Far away, her family received devastating news. A daughter sent off with bright hopes was gone, brutally. The tragedy lies also in unwritten chapters. Vulnerabilities shadow life far from home. Community turned upside down by betrayal and violence. Yaley's promise endures in memory. Years have passed since May 2018, but the case is far from closed. Where are the suspects? Zhang Chuning, Zhang Chaoyang, Wang Shui, and Zhang Yixi? Did they slip out before the lookout order took hold? Or hide within the Philippines, aided by contacts? The core question remains: why was she killed? Money, passion, or deeper conspiracy? Plausible, yet unproven. Without confessions or new evidence, they stay theories. What inside that unit provoked such frenzy and cold concealment? What does this say about vulnerabilities of foreign workers in gray area industries? Disputes can erupt far from family safety nets. Justice needs more than ID, arrest, trial, conviction. For her family, lack of resolution is ongoing torture. The killer or killers remain at large, questions unanswered. A brutal murder still cries out for closure. The story of Wang Yaley is a chilling tapestry: ambition, betrayal, unspeakable violence. It begins with dreams of a better future and ends in a suitcase. Her life stolen by those she likely knew. Faces and acts recorded, yet they remain ghosts. Zhang Chuning, Zhang Chaoyang, Wang Shui, Zhang Yixi. They are the missing key to understanding the tragedy. Until they are found and held accountable, her case remains open. More than a headline, this is a human tragedy. It raises questions of jurisdiction and cooperation, and migrant worker safety. Today, years later, the cry for justice remains unanswered. We know who, how, and where. But without the suspects, the why remains elusive, the final chapter unwritten. The suitcase opened only to deeper questions, and the enduring memory of the girl from Anhui.
Because it's dangerous. It's a dangerous area. People coming here to tell my family that there's people that want to kidnap me, or they're threatening to kidnap me.
In the heart of New England, nestled among rolling green hills, lies the town of Hinesburg, Vermont. It's a place defined by its quiet rhythms, a community where the changing seasons mark the passage of time. It was here that a small town held a quiet young man whose story, which began in these peaceful woods, would find its end thousands of miles away, across an unforgiving sea. Life for Elliot O'Neill Eastman began here on March 14, 1997. Hinesburg is the quintessential small Vermont town, a place where everyone knows their neighbors, and front porch conversations are a staple of daily life. Born into a world with a population that barely reached a few thousand residents, his childhood was one of quiet streets and the freedom of the outdoors. He grew up surrounded by the dramatic beauty of the region, where the seasons paint the landscape in dramatic strokes of color, from the fiery reds of autumn to the hushed white of winter. This idyllic, predictable environment, so different from where his journey would end, shaped his early years, instilling in him a calm and gentle nature. As he grew, this quiet disposition remained a defining trait. At Champlain Valley Union High School, where he graduated in 2016, classmates remember him as quiet and reserved. He wasn't one to seek the spotlight. Instead, he was often seen on the periphery, taking everything in. He moved with a gentle presence, more observer than participant in the often chaotic world of high school. Friends recall a kind soul who preferred the solitude of nature or the world within a book to large gatherings. He was present, but in his own contemplative way, a thoughtful young man navigating his path. After high school, his path led him away from Vermont to Ithaca College in New York, nestled in the scenic Finger Lakes. It was a step into a larger world, where he continued his education, exploring ideas beyond his Vermont hometown. Yet after college, he returned to Hinesburg, drawn back to the familiar comfort of home. For a time, he seemed to be following a conventional path, one trodden by many recent graduates. He drove for DoorDash and he worked for Uber. It was unassuming work, a way to make a living while figuring out what came next. These were days filled with the small details of ordinary life, with little hint of what lay ahead. To family and friends, he was at life's starting line, a young man with a future yet to be written. They saw a son and a friend, a quiet soul whose journey was just beginning. But the quiet prologue of his life, spent in the safety and serenity of Vermont, was drawing to a close. Unseen forces were already in motion, preparing to pull him toward a destiny no one could have imagined. A louder and heartbreaking main act was about to begin. At some point, the familiar roads of Vermont were no longer enough. The predictable rhythm of small-town America, with its changing seasons and quiet landscapes, began to feel less like a comfort and more like a cage. A deep-seated restlessness took hold. Elliot Eastman made a decision that would irrevocably alter his life. He decided to trade the world he knew for one he had only ever seen in pictures. It wasn't a vacation or a temporary escape. It was a deliberate, seismic shift in his existence. He set his sights on the Philippines, an archipelago over 8,000 miles from home. But his destination wasn't the bustling expatriate hubs of Manila or the tourist-friendly beaches of Cebu. Those well-trodden paths held little appeal. Elliot was searching for something more raw, more authentic. He was drawn to the island of Mindanao, a land of breathtaking coastlines and vibrant, ancient cultures. But it was also a region with a deeply complicated reality, a place of stunning beauty existing alongside complex social and security challenges. He arrived in the Philippines around 2020, just as the world was beginning to lock down. He came not as a tourist passing through, but with the singular intention of building a new life from the ground up. His journey took him to Zamboanga del Norte, a province on the western edge of the island. This is a region rich in culture, but long hounded by the persistent struggles of poverty and the shadows of insurgencies and outlaw groups. It is the homeland of a significant Muslim minority in a largely Roman Catholic nation, a cultural tapestry woven with threads of tension and resilience. In his own videos, he would come to call this area the Red Zone, not an official government warning, but his own colloquial term for a place where the risks were palpable. He knew that being a white foreigner in this part of the world made him conspicuous, a visible outsider, and potentially a target. His initial foray into this new world was a harsh lesson. An early failed romance and a financial scam in Zamboanga City left him shaken and disillusioned. It was a painful welcome, a test of his commitment to the path he had chosen. Many would have retreated, booking the first flight home. But Elliot did the opposite. Instead of pulling back, he pushed deeper into the island's heart. He moved from the relative bustle of the city to the remote coastal municipality of Cebuco, a place even more isolated, more rugged, and more uncertain. For him, despite the dangers, it felt less like a choice and more like a calling he could not ignore. In the coastal town of Cebuco, far from the world he knew, Elliot's life took on a new and profound dimension. He wasn't just a visitor anymore. He was building a home. It was here he met Carisha. Their connection grew quickly, rooted not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, shared moments of everyday life. They found a simple rhythm together, navigating the local markets, sharing meals with her family, and finding joy in a life stripped of modern complexities. Their relationship blossomed into a deep and committed love. Embracing Carisha's world fully, Elliot made the significant decision to convert to Islam. This was more than a formality. It was a gesture of profound respect and integration into the community that had welcomed him. In doing so, he adopted the name Muhammad, a new identity to mark his new beginning. About 5 months before he disappeared, they solidified their bond in a traditional Sama wedding ceremony. Surrounded by family and community, the vibrant, intimate celebration was a testament to their union, weaving together ancient customs and the promise of a shared future. As Muhammad, he lived simply, fully immersed in his new life. He was part of a family, a faith, and a community. Yet, the reality of his origins was an undeniable undercurrent. Being a foreigner, particularly an American, in a region designated a red zone for its history of instability and kidnappings, meant he was always visible, always an outsider in the eyes of some. This duality, of belonging and being conspicuous, was a constant in his life. To bridge the distance between his two worlds, he maintained his YouTube channel, Elliot Beastman. It was a small corner of the internet, with just over 1,300 subscribers. For Elliot, it served as a digital diary and a lifeline to family and friends back home, a way to show them the life he had chosen. In his own words, he introduced his world with a characteristic blend of sincerity and awareness. Hello everyone, I'm Elliot Eastman. I came to the Philippines, where I met the love of my life, in the red zone. His videos were not polished productions. They were raw, unfiltered glimpses into his surroundings, the local culture, and his own reflections. He filmed the bustling streets, the quiet moments with Carisha, and the gentle rhythm of village life. For his family in Vermont, and for the small community of viewers who followed him, the channel became the only window into his new reality. He spoke gently, often directly to the camera, about his love for Carisha and his decision to stay despite the acknowledged dangers. He would explain that the richness and beauty he found in Cebuco was, for him, a risk worth taking. He wasn't naive about the threats, but he was steadfast in his choice. Today that channel stands frozen in time, a poignant and permanent memorial. The videos, once a living document, are now an archive of a life cut short. They capture a young man fully alive, a man who chose to embrace both the profound beauty and the inherent risk of his path. In these digital echoes, we can still see his face. We can still hear his voice, and we are left with a heartbreaking contrast between the vibrant life he recorded and the silence that followed. In weeks before his abduction, his tone darkened. He spoke of sleepless nights and the constant sense of threat. The place where he was can be scary, he said. He spoke of receiving threats, vague about their source. He said he was not liked, that some wanted bad things to happen to him. Individuals were informing his family of plots to kidnap him. Authorities warned him, as a foreigner here, he was vulnerable. As long as I'm here, my life is still at risk, you know. That's the reality. On October 17, 2024, danger arrived at his door. 4 armed men came to his home in Sitio Tungawan, Barangay Poblacion, Cebuco. Posing as police, they created confusion to lower resistance. Police later said at least one carried an M16 rifle. Elliot resisted with desperate courage, but he was overpowered. He was forced onto a motorized banca and taken out to sea. The search began. Police and military assets scouring sea and shore. No ransom, no word, no sign, only a dreadful silence. What happened on that boat became the agonizing question. A witness came forward, alleging what transpired on the water. Elliot kept fighting after boarding. Then the violence escalated. The witness said he was shot twice with an M16 rifle, killed shortly after being taken as the boat fled Cebuco. Upon learning he died, the captors threw his body overboard. The sea became his unmarked grave. Recovery unlikely. On December 4, 2024, 1 month and 18 days later, Philippine National Police confirmed Elliot O'Neill Eastman was killed shortly after abduction. Shock rippled through Cebuco and across the world to Vermont. A life that crossed oceans ended upon the water, his body lost to the depths. Hope gave way to certainty and grief. The investigation intensified, shifting to murder and kidnapping. Police Brigadier General Jean Fajardo said 3 suspects were in custody. The central question remains, why was he targeted? Theory: a kidnapping for ransom gone wrong, common in the region. His resistance may have led captors to panic and kill him. Other speculation included possible inside involvement, even rumors targeting his wife. Authorities have shared no evidence supporting these claims, and harassment is discouraged while the investigation continues. The impersonation suggests planning, perhaps an organized group. Were they hired hands? Who ordered it? Many details remain unknown. The most haunting question endures. Will the sea ever give him back? This is a human story of a quiet son and student seeking meaning. A driver who wanted something more. He found love with Carisha and a new identity in faith. He built a small, rich life and told it in his own voice. He will be remembered for how he lived, quiet courage in a dangerous place.